Sometimes the simplest idea can lead to the most memorable adventures. You don't need an elaborate plot or a sprawling map to create a compelling story. Sometimes all it takes is one item. That's right, a single object can spark intrigue, drive your players' decisions, and unravel an entire journey. So today we're going to talk about how to take one item and turn it into the backbone of an entire immersive adventure. Now, the first thing that you want to do is create a backstory for that item. Every great item needs a story. That doesn't mean that it needs to be fully fleshed out and have its own history or its own timeline, but you do need to know enough detail to make that item feel significant. So think about where it came from. Who created it? Why does it exist? Is it a relic of an ancient civilization? Is it a prototype from an inventor that died a long time ago? Is it a cursed heirloom oh my god, why did I say it like that? Is it a cursed heirloom that was passed down through generations? So for example, let's say I want to use something like a rusted key. On its own, it's not very much. But what if that key belongs to a legendary thief who was said to have hidden unimaginable riches before they unexpectedly died? Well, perhaps that key is rumored. Nope, I was right the first time. Well, perhaps that key is rumored to open a vault that's been locked for centuries because it got lost after their death, containing something. Nope, that doesn't make sense. Or perhaps, nope. I'm so sorry, editor. So perhaps that key is rumored to open a vault that's been locked for centuries, and it contains something that could change the course of history and has just been lost because that person died. The key here, pun intended, is to make the item feel like it matters. It should have just enough mystery to make the players ask questions and make them want to learn more about this item. You know, why does it exist and why is it in their possession now? But once you have that backstory, you can really start to pull on threads and start to lay out the mysteries for what this item really is, in this case, what this key is, because after all, in order to write a mystery, you have to know the ending first. Now, step number 2 is to give the item stakes and motives, and I'm not talking about meat. I mean, I guess unless like the item's carnivorous or something. An item becomes more than just a thing when it has stakes attached to it. Why do people care about this item? What makes it worth fighting for or fighting over? You can think about items like the One Ring, for example. So start by deciding who else might be interested in the item. It could be a rival faction that's been searching for it for years, or some treasure hunters that will stop at nothing to claim it, or the item is tied to a prophecy and there's a religious cult involved. Or it could be something more personal, like an estranged family just wanting to retrieve an ancestor's heirloom or something. Stakes are what give the item weight and urgency. So the deeper you can go with that and the more of a ticking time bomb you can create there for your players, the more the item becomes a living, breathing part of the story. So think about who wants it, what could happen if it falls into the wrong hands, right? Thinking about that One Ring. Don't want Sauron to have that. Maybe you do, weirdo. But by giving the item something like, again, just going back to that ticking time bomb thing, if you can give the item like an ultimatum, like on this date this item is supposed to explode, or if you give it stakes in the sense that it has a lot of power and there's somebody really dangerous out there looking for it. Those sorts of things make it now something that can't be ignored. It becomes personal to the story, it becomes personal for everybody that's around. Again, it's why the One Ring works, because it is just pure evil. So if you can do that for an item and you get those stakes and you get those motives and you understand its history, well, now you have something to move forward with. Which leads us to step 3, which is to create challenges around the item. An adventure isn't an adventure without obstacles. The item should be at the heart of those challenges. So think about the journeys that your players have to take to uncover the item's secrets, or to unlock its potential, or to learn how to use it, or to learn how to destroy it. What are the steps? It could be 3 things, 1, 2, 3 steps that they have to do in order to find all of that out and to figure out exactly what this thing does. So for example, if the item is a rusted key, then the first challenge might be figuring out what it unlocks. So that might lead them across town, or it might lead them across the world to just talk to somebody who knows the person that originally owned this key, or it might lead them to a library. The idea is that they have to figure out what it does. Then perhaps they'll find a map or a series of riddles that is given to them by whoever knows that information that leads them to an ancient ruin. Then when they arrive at the ruin, they might have to face those traps or some puzzles, hostile creatures, people that want it, all just to get into the vault. And even if they succeed, their troubles might not be over, because what if unlocking that vault then unleashes an ancient curse, or it alerts a powerful enemy to their location? So all of these things are sort of barriers that you can put in the way that are all just revolving around one single item that could cover dozens of sessions if you do it right. And ultimately, the item should drive the adventure forward, giving the players clear goals while also leaving room for surprises and twists. So what starts as a simple fetch quest spirals into something much greater as the true nature of that item is slowly revealed. And then step 4 is to reveal that true significance of the item. One of the most satisfying moments in an adventure is the aha moment when players learn the truth about the item. Now, this could happen midway through the story to raise the stakes, or it could come at the very, very end as a big reveal. So, for instance, in our rusted key scenario here, you could build it up to make your players think that this key is going to lead to a treasure vault or something like that, but at the very end, they find out it was just friendship. No, I'm just kidding. That it was a key to a prison that is holding some sort of ancient being. And then they have to decide whether or not to free that being or to leave them trapped. Or if the key is maybe part of a larger puzzle and finding it is only the first step in a much greater journey. What if there were multiple keys? When you start to layer it like that, it really becomes something that's way more significant than just a treasure like they originally planned. And at least for me, I think if I was a player, that would just make it all the more fun, because now I want to find out more. And you can just put the main story quest on hold, as a DM I mean, and just pull on this thread for a while, because this is what they want to do, and this is more fun for them at the moment than the story that you're trying to do. And ultimately, the reveal should just change the player's perspective of the adventure and make them feel like their choices have real consequences, like letting that guy go. The more intertwined the item is with the larger world, like letting that guy go, the more impactful that moment becomes, that big reveal will be to them. And then step number 5 is to tie it back to the world and to the characters. To make the adventure feel meaningful, try to connect that item to the world and to your individual player characters, like their backstories. So maybe one of the characters has a personal reason for wanting this item, and they recognize the symbol that's on it, or it belongs to their family's ancestral home or whatever. I'm just spitballing here. Or they remember hearing a story about it from their parent in their childhood, right? Alternatively, the item could reveal something new about the world itself. Perhaps the vault it opens contains knowledge about a civilization that people didn't know existed or that's been lost to time. Or the item is part of a prophecy that could change the course of history. And when you ground the item into your world's lore and into your characters' experiences, you make the adventure feel more personal and immersive. Now, with all of that said, the idea here is also, I guess this is kind of a secret number 6, is to keep the entire thing flexible. The item should be a springboard for the story, not a script. So your players are going to inevitably make a decision that you didn't expect or that wasn't included in the design of this item. And you need to be able to adapt to those choices, because sometimes they come up with something that's just a million times better. If they decide to sell the key to the highest bidder, for example, or use it for something completely unrelated, let that lead to a new story. Let that lead to new opportunities. The beauty of building an adventure around an item is that it can go in so many different directions, and ultimately it's up to you where that goes, because it's not tied to the main story, so it doesn't matter where it goes. All that matters is that it's fun and that it's engaging, and ultimately that it just feels a little real, right? That it just feels like it was sort of planned, but a lot of that can just be done ahead of time by your players for you. So I guess all of that is to say that turning a single item into an entire adventure is ultimately just about giving the item a story. Give it a little bit of stakes, put it in your world, and whether that's a rusted key or some ancient artifact or a cursed weapon, by doing those little things, you can really just spark curiosity in your players. You can create entirely new conflicts, and you can create some of the most memorable moments for them. So the next time that you're stuck for any adventure ideas, just start small. Pick an item that they're finding in a room, give it a little bit of meaning quickly right there. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then watch as your players start to dissect the hell out of it and go crazy over it, and it becomes so much bigger than you expected simply by putting it in the room in the first place. So I hope that helped. Now, if you were paying attention in today's video, let me know in the comments down below where you saw Tobias, and I might just shout you out in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Forge on, my friends, and we'll see you next time, adventurers.